Hey, what's going on, Agents for Life? Welcome to podcast 250. What are we at? 254 now. Oh my goodness. Where we're going to talk about fear. Last week we talked about one four-letter word, luck. And this week, another four-letter word, fear, which I thought was appropriate being that it's Halloween season and all of y'all starting to put out decorations and scary things. Well, guess what? The business can be kind of scary sometimes, especially since if you've never done it before, if you've never made sales calls before, which I hadn't, scared me and made me uncomfortable, right? So we all feel that. Well, I listened to a podcast recently that kind of changed my perspective on fear, and I wanted to pass along some of those things and some of those insights that I've experienced and some of the things I've learned recently on the topic. So if you're one of those that's kind of paralyzed a little bit, that maybe doing the work is scares the you know what off of you and the bejeebies, I guess is the way I used to say it. But man, welcome. This is going to be good. So let's jump in. Before we do, though, I just want to remind you all December 6th, course, we've got that big conference out in Columbus, Ohio. If you can make it, I would love to see you there. Try and get there. If whatever you can do to get there in person is always better than Zoom. You're going to learn and absorb so much by being around the people and shaking hands. I'll be there and I hope to see you all there. Anyways, if you have any questions on the details of that, it's in the Telegram chat where you can reach out to me. So, back to the topic. Let's talk about fear. So, fear can paralyze us. That's the thing that we don't like, is because our natural instinct is when we're afraid, we turn into flight or fight, right? And we're either going to go in and try and blow it up or we're hightailing it out of there. And a lot of times, all too often, because it's the more comfortable approach, is we just shy away. Now, we don't have saber-toothed tigers running after us. So our fear, which came originally from our instinct to survive, today, our fear isn't based on survival. It's not like if we run into something that we're fearful of, that we're going to get stomped on by a woolly mammoth, right? Our primitive instincts were that way early on, and now we just feel the butterflies, right? And we get nervous and we get afraid, and so we just, because we're at a third world or a first world country and we live with all these luxuries and things, we can just kind of slip into the other room and turn on the TV or go take a bath or go for a walk, and and nothing happens and there's no consequences. Okay. Technically there are. Those consequences just don't happen for another decade or two, when you can't retire or you haven't built, or you're living with a lot of regret or whatever the case may be, right? So fear can be a tremendous motivator if we approach it in the right way. Now, when we talk about fear, it's this acronym, right? False evidence appearing real. You've all heard that, I'm sure. False evidence appearing real. And a lot of times that's the case, but not always. So I think sometimes we latch on to these little thoughts or these cute little sayings, cute little ways of saying things, and we just keep regurgitating. Oh yeah, fear, false evidence appearing real. Well, it's not always false evidence. What if you're up cliff diving and the guy in front of you doesn't clear the cliffs, and when he jumps and he gets really hurt on the way down, and now it's your turn, you're next in line? That fear's real. That ain't false evidence. That's real evidence, right? Guy broke his back or whatever, his legs, and now it's your turn to jump. And now you're thinking, you were all excited about jumping, but now you're like, I don't want to end up like that, right? So sometimes the evidence is right there in front of us, and it's not false. It's very real. And the feelings of fear are not false. They're very real because they stop us. Have you ever felt that, where you felt, the phone, fear of the phone? That's one of the biggest fears in our industry, picking up the phone and dialing. And sometimes we get paralyzed because it's easier not to. Doing the work is uncomfortable, but it's easier not to. So here's what we do: we rethink fear. Okay. I'm going to give you a few pointers. If you're in this, if you're feeling the fear, this is for you. Okay. It's for me too, by the way, because I still feel it. After 6 years, I still feel it. So I just manage it now. And it's just part of it. Doesn't bother me as much, but it's still there. Um, Fear, first of all, point number one, fear's companion emotions are anxiety and excitement. Anxiety, excitement. So you can easily get those confused. Now, let's say that you've got an appointment for a case that's very, very high likelihood of being a really profitable case. Okay. Could be a huge IUL, annuity, something, right? And you don't want to blow it, right? You're fearful or you're excited or you're a little anxious. Do you see the difference? Like it could be a mix of all three, but you can easily interpret because they feel very similar. You could easily interpret them all to be fear. When you start this business, you have the opportunity to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Your life this time next year could be completely different financially. That's exciting. So, are you fearful or is it excitement? Or is it a little bit of anxiety because you're not quite sure what's going to happen? But even anxiety doesn't have to paralyze us. It doesn't have to be the thing that holds us back. So when we feel fear, we feel butterflies. So maybe first recommendation is to just reframe it. Stop calling it fear, but call it butterflies instead. Because you know why? Everything great happens after the butterflies, right? I've always maintained that nothing great happens inside of your comfort zone. Well, step out of your comfort zone. That's where you start feeling the butterflies. And butterflies are cute little creatures, right? And they're fluffy and nobody's afraid of a butterfly, not even children. So we are truly meant to fly. We're not meant to stay as caterpillars. And and I just love that analogy that when we get those tinglies in our tummy, we call them butterflies. And sometimes we call them fear, but butterflies are amazing creatures, right? It's positive, it's not negative. So sometimes we put too much negativity on fear because of that false evidence appearing real thing that we throw around. But if you can learn to just change the dynamic or the ratio of those mixed feelings, we can push you past the fear. The fear will stop you, but if you have more excitement than fear, if you can even just push that excitement over to the 51%, leaving 49 for fear, that may be all you need. You just have to tip the scale just a little bit in your favor so that you'll take action. Because you can get excited about a six-figure income next year, right? Or a multi-six-figure income next year. You can get excited about that, right? Is it still uncomfortable? Yes, because you've never done it before. But do we have to call it fear? Is it fear or is it excitement? Or is it a mix? And as long as we can have a little more excitement than we have fear, it's okay that that fear's there, right? I'd love a 70-30 mix or an 80-20 mix and get all excited and still have a little bit of fear. I don't know if you're ever truly going to get to like 100% and zero fear. That doesn't even just sound human. But if you meet somebody, I don't know, they're probably superhuman of some kind. But um, fear has it creates a lot of different emotions or reactions rather inside of our body. Like it releases cortisone. Cortisone can cloud our thinking. Cortisone is a great thing, but we also have to work with it. Our heart rate increases, our palms get sweaty, the blood pushes out from our central core out to our extremities because it's preparing us for fight or flight. We need that in our arms and legs. So we're either punching or running, right? So the natural reaction from fear is our body is physiologically changing. So it's not a it's not a foo-foo thing. Like this is real. And and if we can simply see it for what it is and start changing our perception that number one, it's okay because everybody has it. Okay. It's perfectly normal. It's not fun, but it's perfectly normal. And number two, we can understand that it's a mixture of multiple emotions that feel similar, and we can convince ourselves that we're just as excited as we are fearful. Because when you have an appointment, you have an opportunity to make a sale. That's exciting, right? So we don't have to be 100% fearful. We can have a mix in there. We just have to tip the scale in our favor. But number three, here's what I like to do because I'm more practical. You can ask my wife. I'm more practical. I like to play it out to the end. And I like to go to the worst case scenario because as long as I can be okay with that, then I can take action. So I pick up the phone and I'm going to dial somebody. What's the worst case scenario? They say no and they hang up. They may call me a dirty word and then hang up. Maybe that's worse. That's really it. That's about as bad as it gets. So can I handle that? Sure, I can live with that. Do I want to? No. Do I like that? No. Am I excited to call those people? No. But the same token, is every lead going to be like that? No. A lot of people are nice. That doesn't happen very often. So why let fear over a few isolated cases that may not even happen, by the way, stop you from taking any action at all? Stop you from the opportunity of potentially making a huge sale and making a few $1,000s of commission on protecting a family, right? So let that excitement kick in. Is you're starting a business now. We're starting to take movement toward your goal. Everybody comes in here, they've got a goal, right? You want to get out of your job. You want to make a certain amount of money. You want to protect a certain number of families. You've got something driving you. Well, this is taking steps in that direction. Why should we call that fear? Let's call it excitement, and let's move forward. And let's look at the worst case scenario. Okay. Make sure we're okay with that. We can check it off, scratch it off. I'm okay with the worst case scenario. Appointment didn't show up. Appointment didn't do this. They didn't buy, whatever. Worst case. Okay. Yep. It's not a big deal, right? So at the end of the day, after all the dust is settled, the smoke and mirrors, what's left? It's a person who filled out a form, called in something. They're looking for life insurance. Maybe they were at one point. That's that much we know. You, life insurance agent, you woke up this morning, little crick in your back, just like everybody. Should put your pants one leg at a time, right? We took a shower, got ready for, and you have a license. That person is looking for life insurance. We're connecting and we're seeing if there's a way we can work together. At the end of the day, that's all this is. And sometimes we make it out to be something much, much bigger because our minds like to turn things into drama, right? Maybe we watch too many movies. I don't know where it comes from. But I'm here to tell you that 90, I don't know if it's 90%, but most of the things that we worry about and that we are afraid of don't even happen in the first place. They don't even happen in the first place. But when they do, they're not as big and scary as you think. It's the boogie monster in the closet when you're a kid. It feels real, but when you open the door, it's not there, right? Turn on the lights, nothing's there. It's okay. So move forward, accept your fear, okay, as part of life, but see it for what it is and move forward anyways. That's the difference. That's what courage is. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward with fear or having fear and moving forward anyway. You're perfectly normal if you're feeling those feelings. Just don't let them stop you. There's more excitement in the air than there is fear because we're chasing your dreams here. We're doing big things. Don't let fear slow you down or stop you. Pick up the phone, run some appointments, get out there and get something started, start moving. Whatever you've been doing, let's see if we can push you a little harder this week. Reach out and let me help you. But guys, if I can do this, if all these people at Equus, if we can all do this, you can do this too. It's doable. You just have to push through it. So glad you're on the team. I hope this is helpful to some of you, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next one.